every month, 5 months in a row, we have training. And the training for Y12 is, you can send, I think, 3 or 4 people, and it's free. And for example, last year we talked about reliability. This year we were talking about safety as a mechanism for productivity, and we can show it. And it's not about just the conceptual idea. We had Alcoa or Arconic, the head of operations excellence for that corporation, come in the last 2 days, and he talked about safety, and he talked about it from perspective of how they model physical safety. Watch this. How they model professional safety, and how they ensure, to the best of their ability, emotional safety. And here's the key. Physical safety is what you know. Don't get hurt. Professional safety is that if you see something wrong, how do you not feel threatened and are able to fix it without feeling, some kind of pressure or threat? Okay? Emotional safety is the following. How can we bring people to work in such a way that by the time they leave, they feel better about themselves than when they came? And they actually have a model, and so he was trying to talk to you about this. For the people at ORNL, all right, Rocky when he has time, is showing up for those training. But I'm talking to Jeff Shelton and Michael Pierce, okay? I believe I can convince them, the membership is not a lot of money. Oak Ridge, ORNL employees will have free access to this training, okay? So this training is there for you, and the thing is to bring unique stuff from the outside that you do not normally see in your area. It is twice, and it's typically almost day and a half. It's not even 2 days. All right. So that's one. And so the next session is October 11th and 12th, I think. All right. So for Y12, you paid for it. If you want to know about this thing, you should show up. Okay.
The center is Center for Advanced.
So this is center. Center. Center for Advanced Systems Research and Education. This is a center that education. I should know how to spell that. This is a center that we have started about a year and a half ago. Our goal is I want 20 companies, no more than 20 companies that are standard bearers in their sectors, okay, to be part of an advisory team for us. These people will help us understand what systems are and so forth. Now, we're now within a year, I can say that we're almost halfway there. We have, for example, Denso, okay? We have Y12, we have Meritor, we have Alcoa. So these are all leaders in their areas. Our plans are, if we want to do, I want to get Amazon on board, I want to get Volkswagen on board, and so that these are the type of companies that we want, and there will be 20 of those that guide this center. This center is to provide its membership and the larger community access to operational excellence, new ideas, new things. For example, there's 10 days of training, free to members. We're trying to build videos, small little videos. I'm behind on that because if they give me a script, I do it. I look at myself and say, that's terrible. So we're not doing it. Snippets of half an hour's things on operational excellence that go to membership so they can put the thing on and people can see things on specific tools. We're creating a symposium. This is the first symposium. We're bringing industry in. We believe that we'll have about 100 people on October 6th. Again, for Y12, this is free. for RNL, I think if Mike Pierce agrees with it, it'll be, so you have 3 or 4 seats that are free. Mike Pierce has already told me that he's sending 5 people to the place. We have the McGee-Tyson Airport that's sending people in. We have KUB that's sending people in. We have industry that is sending people in. So it's going to be a fair, and what we are having again is Denso, Alcoa, Ardent Health out of Nashville, and Children's Hospital telling you why they're having problems implementing operational excellence. Why can they not get a culture that they want to build? And they're going to then tell you, well, what is their biggest problem, and then how have they resolved it. This is on October 6th from 9 to 4 on the 4th floor of the Tickle Engineering Building. That's where my office is on the lower floor. We have an area that takes in about 100 people. There's a panel discussion after that, so 2 sessions in the morning, lunch, 2 sessions in the afternoon, a panel discussion, and that's it. And our goal is to build this symposium into the premier conference that exists in operational excellence. Not about basic tools, but what are the issues? How do we develop the next set of models? We currently on this, if we can get 100 people in there, I think we will. We're streaming it to 7 countries, and I am having all the universities in Tennessee send a representative here. So East Tennessee State, University of Tennessee Knoxville, University of Tennessee Chattanooga, Middle Tennessee State, Tennessee State in Nashville. I'm going to call Vanderbilt, I've not done that yet. To come here to see how, not as just single universities that are competing against each other, as a academic units, how can we support operational excellence for Y12 and other people like it? Fair enough? So if you can remember, October 10th, 11th, same place, Tickle Engineering Building. October 6th is the symposium.
You can come for just part of it if you want, right?
If you want,
Yeah.
you can come for the part of it. Fair enough?
So where's the symposium then?
The symposium, where is it at?
Yeah.
It's that same place.
It's in Tickle also?
Tickle, it's on the 4th floor. If you remember, there's a big classroom that is, tiered, can hold about 105 people. It's going to
Can
be
you
on
hear
the
me?
4th floor. The 10th and 11th, which is the training, is in our conference room on the 5th. All right? Sorry about that. Now,
No,
Professor, what?
Got Brianna here too.
Brianna, I want to make sure that you're there. Don't mute your stuff. Every so often, could you ask Brianna a question?
Yeah.
Like, what's
I
a
don't
need?
think she can hear us. I don't think.
She can't hear you?
I don't think. Let's see.
I want to make sure that she's awake. Because I know when I am in conference calls with like 17 other people, I'm muted, I go get coffee, I turn that thing on and I said, yep, I agree. And then I turn it off. All right, have fun.
Yeah, we will. I don't think she can hear us. Can you hear?
All right. It's Paul's responsibility to make sure that Brianna,
Yeah, we got her here though. Anyway.
and it has to be within 10 seconds.
Can you hear?
Yes.
Can she hear? Can you hear us? No. Well,
You can plug in that microphone.
which one?
There's one behind, I think.
Oh, here. Yeah.
All right, she can't hear anything.
Hmm?
She can't hear anything. I'll be a translator for you.
Yeah. I actually had a microphone at home too that I thought about bringing. This is
Yeah, headset.
and see, I tried it.
So installed it.
Yeah. I tried it with my at home. You know that you can do a test yourself. I got an idea. Let's see. Oh, that one. Yeah. There we go. Let's try that one. There. Now can you hear? That work? Can you hear? You can hear now? I can't hear you. Now's that? You can hear? Yeah, okay. Good. Ah, that's good. I'll stay here. Can you still hear with it there? Can you hear now? No?
That doesn't help you much. Don't move.
Don't move. No, I'll move over here. I know this is great, isn't it? There, I'll carry Brianna around, right? Oh, shoot. Yeah. There we go. We'll do all this. Yeah. Thank you. When he starts here, we'll bring her back up in a minute. Things we do.
Had a wall out.
Let's have some PDFs open. He might be going back.
Dr. Reed,
Yeah.
I have a question on the class.
Yes.
Is mean a real thing or a figment of our imagination?
You?
Yeah, but not me, us.
Me, a real thing.
Mean.
Mean, an average.
Mean. M-E-A-N.
Me. Oh, like
Oh, I'm sorry.
like you being mean?
Are we doing emotional security?
Now I broke the and I broke the microphone. Here's the wall. I'm needing up to be
Just wait, because one of these days you work from home, find out.
Yellow.
It'd be similar to
She was in there, she You're working for me, and they actually can control it downstairs. It's like, listen, you just need to go. Take a day off.
I said, what are we gonna call it, like the barn?
She got my off. Yeah, really. What's that?
It's a big deal. She just calls me and rocks with me.
She's coordinating what you guys,
So she's our representative out there.
We're back. All right, here, finally. So, hey, good. Unplug my computer when I move it. All right, so, all right, we're ready for the second half of chapter 2 finally. And so what we're doing here, recall, we're at the point where we've got variation only from our treatment, so we've got total variation. This is the figure, and it's two parts. From the treatment, which is what we're looking for, and from randomness. And so we've got this one other piece we have to talk about, the random effects, because last week we had fixed effects model, and that was where our treatments were all the treatments, the whole range of treatments that we had. So we had all, and our treatments were the whole population. So we sampled everyone. Okay, but there are cases where, and remember, we could randomly assign people treatments, or not people, things, or tests, or whatever. But there are cases when you can't take the entire population as part of your data, you know, the whole United States or something. So you're going to randomly pick people or items or manufacturing lines or whatever it is, samples, whatever it is you're testing, and you're going to assign them to the treatments. And what's going to happen is that you're not doing the entire population. And I'm going to do treatment 1, treatment 2, treatment 3. I'm going to get different means. We know we are. We're going to get somewhat different means because we're taking different randomly assigned people. So under the random effects thing, you might ask yourself, well, we're going to get different means anyway, and maybe we would like something that's a little bit more sensitive. Instead of looking at means, perhaps we should look at the variance. And if we get different variances, use that as our conclusion for deciding that there's a difference in the treatments or not. So when we do this random effects test, which is where we're taking, so the random effects where we're taking samples out of the entire population, we're not using the whole population, we're going to look at the variance. We won't do that a whole lot of times, but they do touch on it in the book, so I want to cover that. But that's not the main part of the lecture. The biggest part is, you'll notice that we've got this nice tool. We have this ANOVA, and maybe we had, like in the ceiling insulation, we had 5 treatments, right? We had 4, 6, 8, 10, and 12. We ran the ANOVA, and the ANOVA gave us a great answer and said there was a difference. Well, so what? What's the difference? Is 4 different from 6, 6 different from 8? It's only 4 different from 12, and the rest of them the same. Well, yeah, that's a great question. There's a difference. One of them is different, at least, maybe a lot of them. So what we've got are these other techniques. These are to let us, find out which ones are different, which treatments we say different. Now, it may be that if we run the ANOVA and none of them differ, okay, we don't need any of this stuff, right? None of them differ, okay. But if one of them differs, or if you say there's a difference, there's a significant, with our little F test or our P value, we've concluded there's a difference, then you're going to ask yourself which ones. And for example, here, you do what I think anyone with any sense would do. Just compare them to each other, right? Treatment 1, treatment 2, treatment 1, treatment 3, and just go through and compare them statistically and find out which one's different. And Sheffy's going to be similar. It's just going to take a different approach, a different statistical approach. And this one is similar too, but that takes a little bit different approach so that it can eliminate some of them, so maybe it goes faster. And so what these are, they're ways to, once you know there is a difference, to find out who is causing the difference, and are they significant or not. And so we'll revisit that insulation example, and we'll work it with these methods to pick out which ones matter. So which you can see is extremely important. It didn't do us any good to run the ANOVA and say there's a difference, and then stand there and which ones? Okay. So this will help us finish the problem. So that's what we'll do today. So I'll touch on this, just completing kind of pieces from last time. We'll do these techniques. This was not the book. This is the paper that's online, that's on our campus. But it's a nice paper. It's an interesting study. I think you'll find it amusing what they study. And then what little bit of time we've got left, I'll do cover a bit on the ANOVA from our old statistics lecture, just quickly click through it, so it helped refresh your memory, because they had some very nice diagrams, very nice pictures that showed you what the ANOVA was, and since that's our big tool. So that's where it fits in today. And I think it'll make sense to you, because these techniques aren't that hard. Like I said, they're what you would have thought you would have done anyway, just pairwise comparison. So but first, let's do our little tangent, the random effects. And again, the key thing here is that our levels are randomly selected and from a larger population, so we're not covering everything. So our null hypothesis that we're asking ourselves, remember before our old null hypothesis was we were saying that there's some difference, that the means were all equal. That we want to disprove that, prove that they're not equal. So in this case, we're going to have a little bit different. We're going to look at this variance. We're going to say the variance from the treatment. So that the treatment doesn't cause any change in the variance. Okay, so let's see. So the overall variance in a data point. So this is in any data, or any, I should say data, maybe any sample. This sample was made up of random and treatment. This is, if you're looking in the book, this is equation 2.4. All right, so we've got random and we've got treatment. So, and then we're going to estimate these. This one we're going to estimate with that mean square error that comes out of our ANOVA table. And then we're going to estimate this one, in a sense, with the mean square. And then this one here, yeah, this is, let's see, so we've got square of the treatment is going to equal, and this is the number of samples. This equation, so the mean square of the treatment is made up of random part and that. All right, so let's see. Let's see, so let me make sure I'm not lie to you. Right, and that's 2.4. This is actually right below 2.4. That equation is. And then. Where that other one is. Equation was on there. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So that other equation, yeah, this is 212. The book was disjointed. They presented this way back in 2.4, and then, yeah, that's page 212 where they're going to start talking about, and then they've got example 2.3. So this is this key equation we're going to use to estimate, to determine that. We've estimated that. All right, so what are they saying? Let's see. Okay, one of the caveats is N is equal for all treatments. So one of the keys with this random effects model is you don't want to do like we did with that insulation case, where the insulation case, sometimes we had 5 houses, sometimes we had 3. the number of samples we want to be the same for each of the treatments. So if you had one that had extra, just throw it out, just don't use that. So now, so let's look at this, example 2.3 now. So I'll leave that title up there so we know what it is. So example 2.3, and that's the one on page 26, yeah. Okay. So what they've done in there, so they've said you've got a canning plant, and in fact I should read it to you. I forgot I was going to cover it first before 2.1. You'd think 2.1 comes before 2.3, but it doesn't because 2.1 is, I'm redoing 2.1 with the touchy stuff, and so it comes after. So 2.3, again, I've got your instructions on how to do, how to do the ANOVA if you need to, how to install it. And so here's what you've got. So you've got a canning plant, and they've got a bunch of containers coming off of different machines. And so, they're filling these cans, and they're supposed to put a specified weight in there, and they want to know, if there's variation between the machines. So they got a bunch of machines, and they've selected 4 machines at random and 5 cans at random. So these are the cans, and these are the machines. So they're going to ask, is there a difference in the canning fill from the machine? So there's your data. And so let's see. And so what we need to do is find out, is there a difference here? Based on what based on our overall variance, the total variance, how much of the total variance is due to the machines and how much of it's due to random? Same question we're always asking. So if most of it's due to the machines, the treatment, then okay, the machines do matter. If not, it's likely that just randomness caused it. All right, so what do they know? Let's see. So they ran, let's see. So they ran an ANOVA table. Let's do that. So let's see. So we did an ANOVA table right there, yeah. Okay, and so that should correspond, yes, to the same table you got in the book. So that should be table 2.5. Unless I give you that. Yeah. So this is table 2.5. Probably didn't. Yeah, I'm looking, I did this too. Yeah. It's right below equation 2.4. Yeah, in fact, I've got everything in here. I don't have to actually go back over to the board, but I probably will to make it clear, yeah. Okay, so what you did, remember over here on the board, we said that we were going to use the mean square error. That's the MSE here. That's going to be our estimate of the random, that's what it is. So that's the random contribution. And then the mean square of the treatment, that's equal to the random plus the treatment here. Our number of samples were 5. Yeah, so here, the mean square of the treatment, 6.5, equals sigma squared, which was the mean square of the error, plus 5 times the variance due to the treatment itself. So now we can solve for that just using this equation, and then we also know the total variance. Let's see, I put this is the page, okay. Yeah. So the total variance, which was up here, variance. This is that equation on page 19. Right. Yeah, here. Okay. So that one, plus that one, which is 0.373. So that's the total variance. And this is our estimate of the treatment based on this equation. And so therefore you can now look at the ratio of the contribution of the treatment here to the total, and it was 80%. So now your conclusion is, yeah, the machines did matter. The machines were the treatments, so the machines did matter. So the critical thing on this, I guess, was was this equation here. And that was stated in the book here on page 26, really without any proof. Well, given equal sample sizes, it can be shown that this is so and that is so. So they gave you those two equations without proof. Probably would be good for me to show that to you, where they, because otherwise, you're like, well, what did you do? And you see what we did, it was, we were looking, again, to summarize, because it seems like they bounced around, what did they do? So to summarize, you wanted to know how much of the total variance is made up of random and treatment. But we don't know what the treatment is. We assume that this randomness is from the mean square error, like we've talked about before. And we've assumed that this, without proof in the book, that the mean square of the treatment is made up of random plus n times each of the treatments for n samples. Yeah, that kind of heuristically makes sense, but I need to show that for you. So anyway, using this, we were able to solve for sigma t, and then we could look at it compared to the sum of those two and find out what the bigger percentage is. So you're still asking yourself the same question. It's just we're using these two equations, these two estimates of the random error and the random error plus n times the treatment, and using these two equations without proof. So my burden to show you proof of that, which I didn't do, because I haven't obviously used that very many times in the rest of the class. So anyway, but I'll do that for you, because it's not fair to put all these two equations out there. So yeah, so what was the key? Solving for this, because we didn't have an estimate for it, but we did have an estimate for that. Now switch gears to that bad example. After that, confusing and not too clear example, and maybe we'll do something better. so now we want to look at Tucky's method, and so it's a way to determine which means different. So we've already, we've already come up with the ANOVA that's told us there's a difference. So the ANOVA said at least something different. At least one pair different. Okay, let's find out which one. So what Tucky does is he takes each mean, is what I think any of us would have done. And remember, the book is letting a mean look like this. Dot J. So this is the ith mean and the jth mean. Remember that summed up over all the samples. That's what the little dot meant. If you had data point y, ij, then the dot meant you summed up all the samples. The bar meant you divided by the total number. So this one would be the sum of all I samples in the ith treatment. I should write it I. And this is all the samples in the jth treatment. And so so they're going to say that you're going to take this difference here, and we're going to add to it plus or minus. Alrighty. And again, this is kind of thrown in there without a proof, but you know how statistics are. If they throw in a proof, we're going to be up here all day. But I still want to show you that other one. Times another piece. Square root. This is why we have statisticians at Berkeley and at Stanford doing all this stuff for us, so we don't have to. So what they have done, you can see, they have come up with a crazy confidence interval, right? That's what I've created, correct? I've got the difference in the means here. So if there wasn't any difference, that would be around 0, let's say. Let's think about that. This is close to 0 here, this thing with the purple, right? Hopefully, if there wasn't any difference, and if they're not, it's going to be big. But okay, let's say, oh, well, this is really mu I minus mu j. That's what that is. Plus or minus some confidence interval. I know you might not look at it and say, what? But it is. Right? It's a weird confidence interval constructed from this thing, what's that? That's a Q distribution, and it's a Q distribution at some confidence level, right? You're used to this in statistics. I hope this isn't bothering you now. It's just, this is the 5% or the 1%. What are these? Let's see. Well, let's see. There's nu equals n minus k. N's the total number of samples. Let's see. The k was the degrees of freedom. So let's see. 1 minus alpha quantile. These are the samples in each of the treatments. Yeah, so let's see. So what do we do? Where did you come up with this? Again, the statisticians had to come up with this proof. But then, so what do you do with this? Kentucky came up with it. If this confidence interval captured 0, right? So if, say, this confidence interval went from, minus 0.1 to plus 0.15 or something, then clearly 0 is within that confidence interval. And if 0 is within that confidence interval, your conclusion is, well, then it's very likely that these means were the same. That mean minus that mean was 0. And so therefore there's no difference. And conversely, if the confidence interval is scooted over to the side, and it doesn't capture 0, then it means the means are different. So what do you do then with Tucky? Well, you just take each pair and compare them pairwise. So there's a lot of these things like Minitab and stuff have got these Tucky things built in. Now what I did on mine, I just did it one at a time for each one. And so if you look in your book on page 29, they show you what came out of Minitab for the confidence interval. And let's see, I can show you what I did, so we can look at them both. So we'll make the same conclusion. And let's see if I can find here we use that. Here I can see. See the light either. Anybody see my cursor up there? I don't see it. Here, let's use this guy here. See if if we can see it that way. Got them both hooked up. All right. I'll pull that one out and see if that. You know how it does, sometimes when you get different pieces of software too, like Adobe or something, it changes how it looks, and you can't see it. It's there, but you can't see it. Don't see it at all.
If you hit your control key, it'll give you circles that zoom in on where your cursor is.
Just hit the control key.
Yeah, it's not on that screen.
Oh,
Swipe left.
so it may be on here, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
There it is.
Like that.
Okay, thank you. I didn't realize this computer was doing that. That would be good. I won't make that mistake
Oh,
again.
okay.
All right, back to what you're talking about. So what we're doing is we're back to example 2.1. So you recall here, example 2.1 was our insulation. So again, we use our words and get ourselves knowing what we're talking about. Remember, here's our treatments, right? So we had 5 different treatments. These were the houses and these were the samples. And so we ran the ANOVA, right? So we were happy. We ran our ANOVA and we got a difference. And there we go. Get out of my way. There we go. So there's our ANOVA. And our ANOVA said, and remember the book, a lot of times they don't print F critical in their ANOVA. So remember your ANOVA, you can make your decision 2 ways. Either if the p-value is really low, that tells you that your null hypothesis isn't true. And the null hypothesis in this case was that the means are all equal. Or you can compare F to F critical. Well, 36 is much larger than 2.92. So it's way out there in our distribution, just like it's very improbable that we would have gotten this ratio here was just randomness. That's what the ANOVA is telling you. So our ANOVA said, oh, well, gee, there's a difference. But again, like I made a comment at the start of the class, we have no clue what the difference is. You know, I mean, obviously we would think for sure there'd be a difference between 4 and 12, but where else? And so, well, gee, the obvious, I think, logical thing to do would be to do what Tuckey and Kramer does, is compare each one. And how do you compare them? Well, we'll compare them with a confidence interval, because we're trying to compare them in a statistically defensible way, not just, oh, they look different, or there's 0.1 or 10% or something. And so we've got 5 treatments, 23 total data points. So we've got 18 degrees of freedom. So with our K of 5 treatments and our 18 degrees of freedom, we're going to go look at this Q distribution at the 5 and 18 place. 5 treatments, 23 minus 5, at some percentage, right? We select that. Remember, 5% confidence, 1%. So one of the things I have up here for us too is a Q table. Let's see, here it is, right there. So this is a Q table, and the Q distributions are all different. You know, they're not. You know how our random distribution, our normal distribution, we got like, you know, one standardized table. There's different sets of tables for different values of alpha, and then you got to look under the this is the K and this is the degrees of freedom. So we were looking at 5%, say. We had K equal to 5. Our degrees of freedom was 18. So here we are, 4.276. So that's where this magic number comes from. Here, 4.276. That's this number here. So this is the 4.276 if alpha equals 0.05 and K equals 5 and N equals 23. That's where we got that. So now we're going to take the difference between each mean. We're going to add that number divided by the square root of 2 times the square root of the MSE times 1 over the number of in the ith one and 1 over the number in the jth one. So it's just a goofy equation to create this confidence interval. So that's what I did over here. All right, so that's what that is. Okay, so now let's see. So here, push it over so we can see. So let's see. First, let me review what I got here. Let's see. I repeated the ANOVA table on this page because we needed that, right? We needed the MSE there. Okay, and then you'll see I've got the comparison this way of everybody. So let's just look at one. Let's look at the 4 one. Let's look at our equation here. Let's see. Where did I do my comparisons? Okay, yeah. Let's see. So I'm doing. Let's see. I'm taking. There's my calculation. The square root of the Q. Square root of 2, the number of the n's, yeah, so I've done all of that. And then let's see. I'm looking is in the, so I've got the critical range. Oh yeah, and I'm looking at does my mean exceed my critical range? Yeah, so did I fall in there? So let's see. So of course, let's see. Yeah, because if my difference in the mean is outside that critical range, what did I do? Did I look at both? Here, let's see. I've got MSE times the square root. That's the plus or minus part. Yeah, and then yeah. And then let's see. Did I oh, and the difference in the means. Okay, so I was looking at, I was saying that this includes, did that include 0? So I looked, is that bigger than that? Yeah, that was what I was looking at, the difference between the means as compared to that. Yeah, and so that would mean you grab 0. So that one didn't, that one didn't, that one did, that one did, that one did. Yeah, the difference in the mean. So obviously the mean, this is the mean of the 4-inch compared to the 4-inch mean. The mean of the 6-inch compared to the 4-inch, 8-inch, 10-inch, and 12-inch. Yeah, so that's what I'm doing. and then comparing the difference in the means to this to see if it would capture 0 or not. Yeah, and so this conclusion says no. Obviously, there's no difference between itself, none between the 6, difference between the 8, 10, and 12. So now if you compare each of the means to the 16, so you're always going to get a 0 in the line, 6 compared to 6, 8 compared to 8. So let's see. So 6 was no different than 4, 6 obviously and 8, but different from 10 and 12. So you can go down and look at each one. Just compare each one in a row. There's the 8 compared to the cells, the 10, and the 12. So what did we wind up concluding? Let's see, I don't think I wrote the conclusion. No, I didn't. So we said that, so 4 was different from 8, 10, and 12. 6 was different from 10 and 12. And so you can go through and find out who actually were the differences. And so the one that kind of, you know, some of the interesting ones were out here, yeah. Like 10. 10 is no different from 10. 10 is no different from 12. Of course, backwards too. So, and I didn't have to do that really. I should have done it. But so you can see what you've done. You just pairwise compare each one. Compare them to this limit. See if, so either do it like they did on table 2.6 where they got the confidence interval. See if the confidence interval grabs 0. And so okay, we did one at a time. Yeah, so which I think again would have been what you would have done. You know, just if someone had told me what am I going to do, well, you know, I didn't know what else to do. I knew there was some differences. I just compare them all one at a time. Why not? You know, you could do the ANOVA even that way if you wanted to. Do an ANOVA on them one at a time. One other way to compare them, it's in your book, is this Sheffy's method. Okay, and it does something similar, but what it tries to do is look at the confidence interval on this thing. So it's going to look at a confidence interval. On L. And what is this L? L, let's see, they got a word for it, is let's see, contrast. Yeah, contrast. L, which is a contrast. Okay. So what is L? Well, one way, one thing you could make a simple L, like in the book. They make one that they call L3 in the book, and they're comparing mu3 to mu4. So if you've got a contrast like that, that's no different than what we just done, right? So I could go through and make a contrast just like Tucky, L1, L2, and compare, or you might want to try to speed things up a bit. And that's kind of one of the things they're doing. For example, in the book, they say, well, look at this contrast. And this confidence interval that we're looking for, we're wanting to know, we're asking ourselves, does the confidence interval contain 0? Again, just like Tucky. So for example, if this one, if the confidence interval on this one contains 0, you're saying, oh, well, mu3 is equal to mu4. If the confidence interval on this thing contains 0, well, we're saying 3 times mu1 minus each of these mu's is 0. So we're kind of claiming, not quite, it's a sort of a backwards way that all these were equal, right? Because clearly if they were all equal, this would be 0, wouldn't it? If this mean were equal to that one or that one. Now, you know, you recognize some of the problems with this. Maybe they're all equal, but maybe this one's real small and this one's real big, and they cancel each other. You know, maybe this is 1 and this is a half and this is 1 1/2 and that's 1, and it still came out to be 0. You know, so it's like, I could goof up, but it's also speeding things up in a way. Because you might be able to conclude, well, these are all the same, and I can start looking at others. So what you notice when you make these contrasts is that the sum of these coefficients better be 0, right? If our predication is that all these means are equal, you know, a contrast that as long as you could, if they were all equal, it would be 0, you're okay. So, if I had 4 here, then I better subtract something else. And I could make a contrast like this, if I wanted to, I guess, here, like this. And that might help me discern if this one were somewhat lopsided, because, now I'm doubling its weight and things like that. So we can come up with these contrasts, and examine the contrast and see if the confidence interval in contrast contains 0, then we can say, well, it seems like these are all the same. And so, let's see, so what is the confidence interval? Let's see, and I didn't even do one of those, did I? I didn't do an extra one, no, let's see. So let's see. So they do have an example in the book. Let me write down what the confidence interval is. And again, it's statistically determined. So your confidence interval was L minus A times the standard deviation of L. Actually, plus or minus, right? Yep. So, and let's see, an A is square root of K minus 1 times F. So let's go back to our F distribution. 1 minus alpha, A minus 1, N minus K. So that's your A. And SD is your standard deviation there. Okay. I'm going to put a little hat over this too. So again, you've got a confidence interval, and does the confidence interval capture 0? If the confidence interval contains 0, then you think that L is likely to be 0, which implies that those means were equal in a sense, in an odd sense. And so, for example, they do example 2.4. They made an L of so example 2.4, they made